Takaoka Pollon. 君、やっぱり来てたんだ。
Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Anonymous Code. It is New Year's Eve for the year 2037. 2038 is less than a half an hour away, I believe, and in just a little over half an hour, a bunch of people are going to swan dive and do some fancy tricks off of a building. So that is the quest that we have going on here, the third quest here in Anonymous Code that we are going through. And this one is very similar to I guess the first quest that had fatalities. It was only 11 people, but here we have like 50 people that are ready to just jump off of a building because I guess they're thinking, oh, you know, we got to jump into this pool that is, you know, right before us, which we kind of did in the previous episode because I led us down the wrong path. So I am definitely accumulating our bad endings, not trying to, but definitely doing so. But let us see what happens now that we have footage of Juno's abilities, because she is our obstacle again. You know, just like the first go around, she's here and she is being not all that cooperative. So she's here, she performed her teleportation ability in front of us, and now we are going to rely on whatever her face is to figure out a way that we can get around this. And maybe we can jump back at that point and buy ourselves even more time. Maybe, I don't know. But let's see what we got going on here with the idle cops that just showed up.
ちょうどよかった。今、プールハックの情報を集めてたとこなんだ。自殺の時間が迫ってる。今回も協力して解決しよう。
無理。私たち、クエストは追ってないから。
What are you here for?
相崎桃はどこ？
Oh.
一緒じゃないけど。
それは見ればわかる。今、相崎桃がどこにいるか聞いてるの。
Well, that's honestly a good question. I think she's at a sad morning site, and she and Rosario just found out about Kent and how he is no longer alive.
あんた、連絡先知ってるんじゃないのか？
オフラインになってて通話できない。ねえ、相崎桃はどこなの？
っていうか、なんで他人行儀な呼び方なんだよ。頭でも打ったのか？なあ、二人もそう思うだろ？
Yeah, wait, why are they looking so gloom as well? I figured Rico and Iroha would agree, but
今は余計なおしゃべりはできないの。
いいからこっちの質問に答えて。
おいおい、なんだよ。
yeah, this is very odd. Something wasn't right with them. They even said they weren't after the quest. Had something happened?
おい、警察が来たら逃げろ。
Well, a little late there.
え？
警視庁と513政務室が手を結んだ。一部の部署がジョーちゃんを捕獲しようとしてるぞ。
What?
サイバー対策室は？
そこもアウトだ。
What? How did that happen? I used the keyboard in my pocket to send Momo a message warning her about this.
両手を見えるところに出しなさい。妙な真似をすると逮捕することになるよ。
What the fuck? When did these events occur? Everything was totally fine not too long ago. Literally a week ago. How did it turn to this?
どっちもお断りだ。
早く両手を出して。
I finished typing the message and sent it.
高
Or
岡
sent
ポ
it.
ロン。
いい加減にしてくれ。513政務室がどんな連中か、あんたも分かってるだろ。法律さえ守ってりゃ何してもいいのかよ。
My words shook Bambi, but she maintained her posture. I had a bad feeling about this. Are we gonna... No, we're saving. I saved just to be safe. Okay. Now I really gotta be on the lookout. Uh-oh. As soon as I had, a police car stopped close by. 3 men stepped out. According to their BMI profiles, 2 of them were officers from the Foreign Affairs Department. The third, a young man in priest's clothing, oh boy, didn't have a profile. If Oza's info was on the money, he was probably a Holy Office agent.
彼への聴取はこちらの使命なのですから。
Oh, lovely. The man looked away from Bambi and...
相崎桃の居場所を教えなさい。
嫌だって言ったら？
Suddenly, one of the police car's back doors swung open violently. Alright, who's gonna appear before us now? The Cyberforce dolls and I looked over to the car. A pale hand gripped the edge of the door. A strange scent wafted past my nose. Something about that smell told me that I was about to witness something wrong. The thing in the patrol car revealed itself. Oh no. This couldn't be real. The man before me couldn't possibly be here. It's David, isn't it? Not him. Not the man I'd seen die in front of me.
Davide,
Oh.
yes.
He's seen some better times. But yeah, that's him. Well, I guess we're not done hearing his hallelujahs. His cocky smile twitched as I noticed that his face was weirdly contorted. No, it wasn't just his face. There was something wrong with his whole body. It was rotting away. His complexion was extremely foul, and in some places he had no skin or flesh at all. That explained the smell. It was the reek of decomposition.
ダビデさんは一度亡くなりました。しかし、神のご意志により奇跡の復活を遂げたのです。
Right.
奇跡って、まさかサクラメントを使ったのか?
These guys and their fucking miracles. Shit, I underestimated their powers. I didn't think they could even bring back the dead.
さあ、ダビデさん。ルシアの居場所を聞き出すという使命を全うしましょう。
Well, we've got a couple of obstacles in this quest all of a sudden. It's not just Juno anymore.
小僧、再会を祝おう。
Oh, I don't think we're actually going to be hearing a hallelujah from him ever again. He seems very... I don't know what kind of word you could use here to describe how he is, but he's not right. David took off one of his gloves. Uh-oh. We've seen this before. And charged right at me. I switched on my berry blocky and threw it forward. The gadget landed 5 meters in front of him. It was effective across a diameter of 4 meters. It would activate in 3, 2, 1. David escaped the gadget's effective range before it was activated. The bastard was actually faster than before. Could I even get away? I didn't have the time. He seized my neck with his massive hand. Without slowing down, he kept sprinting. He's not gonna kill us, it's just interrogation, right? And then slammed me right into a streetlight. I don't like this, guys. This doesn't look good. Someone was holding Pollon by the neck against a streetlight.
ルシアはどこだ?
Okay, so now that I'm thinking about it, I think the scene that we saw in the beginning of this chapter kind of explains why things have turned out this way. You know, there's control over the police and all divisions of the police, of course. And it seems that the upper management, if you will, has had some alterations. Or new commands to give out. I could tell that the man's grip had tightened after that answer.
いえ、どこにいる?
Pollon's legs rose off the ground. He was struggling to escape, but the chokehold wasn't getting any looser. And he can still be a smartass at the same time.
あなたもそれに従うのが筋というもの。それとも、ルールを破りたいのですか?
Oh, she's gonna learn the hard way that rules are meant to be broken in certain situations. Pollon was still being held up by his neck, more color drained from his face every second.
彼を止めて。それがあなたたちの仕事でしょ。
I begged my fellow officers to intervene, but they ignored me.
バンビ、無理だよ。私たちじゃ止められない。
ごめんなさい、高岡くん。
I looked at Rico and Iroha. The Holy Office personnel forced guns into our hands, telling us to use them if necessary, but that was never an option for us. All we could do to resist was look away. If I kept looking, it'd be like I was endorsing the brutality through my inaction, and I really didn't want that. It was all I could do to pretend I didn't see. If I wanted to protect the law, the rules, I had to find a compromise within the boundaries of my orders. But was this really justice? No. Was this why I had become an officer? To watch as someone had their life choked out of them? I
大丈夫？
Whoa, what's going on here? I heard a voice. It was a voice from my memories. Huh, alright. A voice I had heard in the summer of my second year at high school. I had finally saved up enough money, and I was on my way to the department store to buy a uniform for idol auditions. But on the way to the store, a thief stole my purse. I didn't have the courage to chase after him, so I just stood there and cried my eyes out.
大丈夫？
It was the voice of an off-duty officer. She'd followed the burglar, brought me back my purse, and given me a handkerchief. She's
これ
basically
で涙を拭
Spider-Man.
いて。警察官の仕事はね、みんなを笑顔にすることなの。だから笑ってくれると嬉しいな。
She was like one of the idols I'd been looking up to. I hadn't even gotten her name, but I never forgot what she did for me and how it made me feel. I was so happy. It was the first time I realized what the police could do for people. That was why I became a police officer when I couldn't be an idol. And now she's trying to be both. Mostly a police officer, but idol on the side. Okay, so Bambi is in her, I guess, very, in the middle of making a split decision, or split on making a decision. She is at a crossroads. Let's go with that. I'm trying to find the best way to describe this shit. So while she's at her crossroads, we're dying.
Yeah.
Thing is, we also don't even know where she's at, so we're really just stalling. I could barely breathe, but he had no intention of letting me go. That filthy, half-rotted hand still had a lot of strength. I didn't have the energy to resist. My consciousness was fading.
彼を離しなさい。
I saw Bambi, and she was holding a gun. It wasn't a real handgun, it was a stun gun that was incapacitated, or that incapacitated targets with an electric charge. David turned around. He glanced at her gun. The grip on my neck loosened. Bambi faced the huge rotting man. It didn't seem to faze her that she was up against someone who had come back from the dead.
警察官の仕事は人を笑顔にすること。アイドルみたいにキラキラしてないといけないの。こんなやり方絶対に間違ってる。政務室に協力するぐらいなら警察をやめた方がマシだよ。
I'm surprised she didn't in the first place.
私の警告を無視するとは愚かな。
David reached out with his heated hand. His target was the shotgun. Bambi pulled the trigger immediately. Electrode needles launched out and embedded into his body. Electricity coursed through him as he fell to his knees. I punched his arm as hard as I could in an attempt to finally get him off me. The flesh tore from his arm, exposing something that looked like bone. Because it probably is bone. But he wasn't bleeding. The stink of rot simply grew stronger. He is just a straight up fucking zombie. But still strong and scary. Deep and heinous emotions whirled in his eyes.
彼女を止めてください。
了解だ。
Obeying the order, the FAD officers tried to restrain Bambi.
まったく後先考えないんだから。こうなったら私たちも付き合うしかなさそうね。
Oh, I guess it's a good thing they're snapping out of
バン
this.
ビを助けるよ。
Bambi's actions had turned the situation on its head. The conflict was between the officers themselves now. That was a close one. I didn't have much time to enjoy the relief, though. David recovered from the shock and stood back up. The part of the flesh embedded with electrodes had just crumbled off his body. That was just plain nasty. Oh, we'll try, though. There were so few things I could hack that I was basically powerless. That was why I had called the grapper I had parked nearby. While I had the chance, I'd moved to a place where I had the advantage. I didn't have a plan in mind, but I was out of options. And when I saw it, then I saw it, my ride drove up to me, weaving through the onlookers. Time to make a nice little hasty escape. I jumped onto the grapper in front.
おい、十字架ゾンビ野郎と飼い主、俺を追わなきゃ取り逃がしちまうぜ。
Again,
Hi.
we are stalling, and it's good that we're doing it. I just don't know what we're going to do after that. They both rushed to their police car, all according to plan. I made a sharp turn on my grapper and sped away. As I left, I saw the FAD officers restraining Bambi. She'd always told me to respect the law, but she'd broken it to save my life. That's character development right there. I owed her big time. But I'm sure we'll be doing a jump at some point, and trying to prevent a lot of this, maybe. At the abandoned building next to the egg tower, sat Cross and Wynn watching what was happening at the helipad.
おそらくクエストの難易度を上げるために感染後 BMI がオフラインになるよう仕組んでいたんだろう。
Really gotta wonder how we got infected the first time we tried to fix things. Or from that jump that we did.
もう少し粘って調べてみるか。
僕も手伝うぜ。
They looked over at the helipad through their BMI. Analyzing it for infrared and ultraviolet, invisible to the naked eye, they zoomed in on the crowd, watching it as if through binoculars.
何か反応あった？
光を感知した。これはライファイか。
Oh.
それ
We've seen a little bit of
どこかで聞い
that.
たような。
LED の光を利用する通信手段だ。と言っても、人間の目では見えない程度の明るさしか必要としない。BMI がなければ検知できなかった。
じゃあ、被害者は完全にオフラインってわけじゃなかったんだ。
だがライファイは通信距離が短い上に壁を貫通できない。どのみちヘリポートまで行かないとハッキングは無理だな。
And I don't even know if that's a good idea in and of
ド
itself.
ローン、死刑だの投稿だよ。いつもは1匹なのに、今回は2匹だったじゃん。
There was?
まさか。
Well, this just got really interesting. A collaborator, huh? Well, either way, I mean, we've got a countdown that we have to deal with. Once we crawled out from below the crater, we felt the pale light of the moon washing over us. It felt so far removed from the red candlelight of the room that we had come from. And look, she's got a message from Pollon. We'd seen Kent Korihisha sleeping under that warm light.
本物だったの。
My instincts told me that it really was his body, but maybe Rosario was right. Maybe it was a fake that Juno had set up to demoralize us. And the quests arranged by Cicada 3301, Kent Korihisha's other name, were still underway.
ロザリオ、クエストを手伝いに行きましょう。死刑だに会えば、死の真相もわかるはずです。
ああ、行こう。
I noticed that I had received a message on my BMI.
これって、
Yeah, TMPD joined forces with Holy Office. Same goes for Cybersecurity Division. Be careful. I heard footsteps somewhere nearby. Oh, lovely. And when I turned in the direction the sounds were coming from... Oh, yep, here we go. I saw a hooded man walking over to us. The moment I noticed the crosses on his collar and sleeves, my mind was overcome with anxiety.
見つけたぞ、ルシア。
I wonder how we found her.
あなた。
Before I could finish, he nodded.
浪人デルシエロ。政務室のエージェントだ。
And introduced himself.
手強いやつが現れたな。
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
彼を知ってるんですか？
All of these agents of the Holy Office 513 seem to be dangerous in some sort of way.
何度か噂を聞いたことがある。ダビデと同じか、それ以上に
強いエージェントだと。
Okay. All they'd done was say the same thing at the same time, but something felt off about it. Maybe he simply guessed what Rosario was going to say, but for some reason, he seemed dangerous. Rosario suddenly pointed her gun at him.
心配するな。まともにやり合うつもりはない。今すぐ
倒すことはできない。
The moment Ronan had cut off Rosario's words, he closed the distance between them. Rosario opened fire without a moment's hesitation. However,
かわした。
he had only been walking in a straight line, but the shot missed him.
こんなことって。
A second gunshot. A split second before Rosario fired, Ronan had hit her gun with his palm, knocking it downwards. The bullet she had fired hit the top of her own foot. Wow. Almost subconsciously, I activated Nono's gadget and threw it at the ground. It was close enough to harm us too, but we were in a desperate situation. Ronan backed away as if he knew how dangerous the gadget was. He moved outside the range of the electromagnetic interference, which meant... I took Rosario's hand and started running. We slipped between the rubble and made our way out of the crater. I turned around for a moment and saw Ronan's face lit by the moonlight. He was looking right at us. He didn't seem to be in any hurry at all. He simply watched as we ran away. It was awfully unsettling. He's got that vibe that we also kind of see out of Juno. Like, he's not lifting a finger, but he's getting results, sort of. I drove around on my grapper looking for somewhere I could fight David. Could we jump? Nope. That was when I got a call from Momo. Her breathing was ragged. She must have been running. So the company managing Egg Tower receives flood of complaints. Well, that's not surprising. Helipad intrusion enabled by their negligence. Wow. I struggled to make sense of what I was hearing. Kent Korihisha's dead body. Dead body? His death was so fucking unfortunate too. Waking up from the fucking cold storage and, well, goodbye. Who was the one behind the quest? That is the big question now. Yeah, there's a lot of shocking revelations being thrown around here, huh? Yeah, if a gun can't do anything to him, then we're kind of fucked there, aren't we? Yeah, this poor gadget has not been effective whatsoever. I used GPS to find their current location. They were near the Akasaka crater. Was helping them an option, though? We had about 25 minutes left, and I had to deal with both Juno and David, so do we jump? Nope. I hung up and focused on what I had to do. First, there was David. I remember the time Oz almost ran over Juno. We crashed into a construction site in the crater after that, and that site had electricity, which meant if I went there, I could do some hacking. So we're gonna lead him in there, and should be able to maybe take him down, hopefully. Ronan del Celio... Wait, how do you pronounce his last name? Cello? I'm gonna go with Cello. Ronan del Cello, hehe, followed Rosario's bloodstains to where she was hiding with Momo. He examined the ground, tracing the red flecks across the ground. Rosario was roughly 10 meters ahead, fighting the pain, and Ronan walked up to her. Ignoring her wound, she swung her leg toward Ronan. As her foot flew through the air, a blade shot out of the tip of her shoe. Ooh, like a secret agent or something. It sliced through the air on its way to Ronan's throat, but missed. His expression unchanging, Ronan evaded the kick and then took a step forward to bring his face to Rosario's. He was so close that she could feel his breath on her skin. Oh, uh-oh. Oh boy. Before she knew what was happening, the gun that had appeared suddenly in Ronan's hand was being held to her chin. Noticing something, Ronan pushed Rosario aside. The next moment, 4 armed security drones were flying towards them. What kind of plan did they set up here? And also, what is this Ronan guy's, like, hidden ability? I hid in the bushes and watched as the 4 security drones arrived. Rosario couldn't run any further with her injury. She told me to get away, but I refused. I chose to fight Ronan instead. So what was their plan here? Oh? How did she come to that sort of hypothesis?
奴の能力はテレパシーの一種。こちらの思考を読んだ上で行動している。
厄介そうですね。
だが、対処法はある。
React all he wants. If we push him into a corner, we might be able to get some punches off on him. Looking at the 4 drones, Rosario grinned. This was her idea, drone warfare. If Ronin's actions were a response to his opponent's thoughts, his own blind spot must have been machines. They didn't have thoughts at all. Working under this assumption, Rosario sent me a hacking program so I could take control of the drones. They were equipped with wires for restraining intruders. Okay, so she said Silo, kind of. I don't know, there's like a bit of a ch, I think, but I'm gonna call him Cello because it sounds funnier. Okay, but you know what? Now I understand how she got that hypothesis. Because he said the same thing that she said and is kind of finishing her sentences for her. Yeah, he's kind of in her mind. The drones surrounded Ronin. Poised to attack, they aimed their weapons at him. Ronin took a few small steps but didn't run away. He may have realized that he no longer could. The next moment, the drones shot restraining wires at him, and with a sharp sound, the wires flew through the air. Were they effective? The unbelievable occurred. The drone wires passed right by Ronin and entangled the propellers of the drones. They were opposite. All 4 of them plummeted to the ground. Well, that was fucking fast. Their propellers smoking, they couldn't remain airborne. But Ronin was completely unharmed. Is it because she had thoughts of what they were going to do? Was it those steps that he took? He hadn't moved because he was cornered. He was simply adjusting his position so the drones would fire at each other. And Rosario's down. A gunshot, the next moment Rosario collapsed. Hopefully she's not dead because Rosario, she's pretty damn cool, honestly. She's, I don't know how I want to compliment her without it sounding weird, but no, she's pretty cool. This reminded me of what I had seen at the Nakano Broadway. Rosario was bleeding from the head. He'd killed her. Well, fuck. I have a strong feeling that we will be doing some jumping here because not only are we running out of time, we're even further away from the fucking site that we need to be at. After arriving at the Shinjuku Crater's reconstruction site, I hid behind a bulldozer in preparation for my fight with David. Good old round 2. There were no workers in sight, probably because it was New Year's Eve. This was good for me. It meant I didn't have to hold back. Oh, perfect.
Kumo-san?
I listened to her explanation as I watched for David and his handler to show up. Warping. Oh, so it is a form of teleportation, but what is quantum teleportation? Transportation technology that uses quantum entanglement. Instead of sending actual matter like regular teleportation would, it sends quantum state information which is then used to reconstruct the matter in the target location. Opinions are divided on whether the matter from before the teleportation is the same as the matter after. So, would regular transportation be like taking everything, like taking this cube here and like kind of like sending it in a straight line to somewhere? So it's not being reconstructed, it's just being brought in from A to B. Where quantum teleportation is A has been deconstructed and wherever the location of B is, the matter will be reconstructed. Is that what I'm sort of getting out of this? And also, how the fuck do we fight against that?
それってあれか SF 映画とかアニメでよく見る
It's getting more and more sci-fi. Yeah, see, in Bleach, I guess you can argue that there is a form of regular transportation there, or teleportation, or whatever you want to call it, where it is an A to B. They have like a flash step, and you also see this shit in Naruto too, all ninja style and shit, where people can move quickly. It's not that they're disappearing and reappearing somewhere else, they're just moving so fucking quick from A to B. We almost traveled that way over in Steins Gate.
で対処法は？
量子テレポーテーションを実行するにはそれなりの規模の装置が必要よ。でも彼女の周りには見当たらなかった。
No, it's all with her umbrella.
となると可能性は一つ。彼女は量子情報通信と同じ手を使ってる。
Okay, let's read about that one. All this quantum shit with her, I swear. A method of communication using quantum teleportation, establishing pairs of entangled photons that act as senders and receivers, allows for extremely secretive communication. At first, the photons were sent to the receiving end using optical fibers, but since photon degeneracy imposed limits on sending distance, the photons are now sent to both the sending and receiving ends using space satellites. That is beyond me.
つまり
人工衛星を利用してるのよ。ジュノと人工衛星のやり取りを妨害できれば、量子テレポーテーションも邪魔できるはずだわ。
Okay.
クマさん、あんた最高だ。
So how do we disrupt communication with a satellite? Thanks to her, I knew how to take care of Juno and make it to the helipad. Okay, so that's information we can take back with us. However, we still have this shit going on. David laughed as he walked out of the prefab. His body was both rotten and burned. The flesh of his left leg had fallen off, exposing the bone. He really is falling apart. Yeah, he got rid of his handler. A crane hung right over the prefab. I ran a program to trigger it, dropping the steel beams it was holding. Will that do anything to him, though? I guess we just have to obliterate the shit out of him. And then maybe he'll finally die. But moments before that... Oh no, there it is. Damn, we actually still got a hallelujah out of him. The giant cross on David's back let loose a blinding light. It shimmered gold, emanating a strange and saintly vibe. A moment later, the light engulfed David himself. Then I realized it wasn't light at all.
Oh no!
The moment I realized, the beams fell on him. But his fire melted through the steel beams. Bathed in the searing flames that cloaked David's body, they were reduced to liquid in a matter of moments. A part of me wanted to say that we probably should have seen that one coming, but it's hard to say with this guy. It was more than 10 meters away from him, but it felt insanely hot. This was way more intense than the heat I had felt back at Broadway. Ah, what a lovely laugh. David dropped the priest's remains, and fire began to spread all around him. The fire spread so fast it was like the ground was coated in gasoline. Before long, the whole site was aflame. Why didn't anyone tell me he could do that? I don't know if anything here is going to work out here. I turned on the engines of the heavy machinery I had hacked. Yeah, they're just going to get melted. Or blow up. The 5 vehicles parked around the prefab turned on their headlights and lurched forward. Their huge treads and tires spun at full speed, hauling their hulking frames ahead. Their target was David. But then... the tires and treads started melting away. And in just a few seconds, the vehicles came to a complete standstill.
Pollon, まずいことになったぞ.
Yeah, that seems to be a very regular theme here, Oz. It's just bad news all around.
ジョーちゃんがエージェントに捕まった。
なんだって？ロサリオは？
わからねえ。消息不明だ。
くそ！
小僧、そこか。
I think we gotta jump.
あ、賛成だ。
Yeah, honestly. Before anything else could happen, I hovered over the saved data. Well, which one do we want? This one? Okay. I don't really know what good we can do going back to this point. It's basically right where we're at. I contacted Momo and Rosario as I watched the police car head for the prefab. Okay, they're still alive. I'm trying to figure out what more we can actually do here. I ended the call and ran the program immediately. Okay, try and get the jump on him here before he goes into flame mode. The crane dropped the steel beams it was holding. And this time around, my plan was wrap things up before David had the chance to get serious. Just do everything instead of waiting for him to appear. I powered on the engines of the heavy machinery and had them all surge forward. Their target was the burning prefab. A dump truck, an excavator, a loader, a bulldozer, and a roller. The 5 of them crushed the tiny prefab. The vehicle suddenly exploded. The smoke billowing from the flames was so thick, it could blot out a small high-rise. The fire from the prefab must have set them all alight. I didn't think David could have survived the chaos, but I had to be sure. For a while, I just stood there and watched out for him. I heard a sound. By the time I realized it was police sirens, several police cars had driven on site. They stopped near me, and out of them stepped... Oh, lovely. It looked like the people who arrested Bambi had called their peeps. Time to jump?
Yeah.
At the moment, both the Holy Office 513 and the TMPD were our enemies. That meant taking David down wouldn't be the end of this, so we jump, right?
Yeah.
The countdown to the suicides was getting closer and closer to 0, but it didn't look like going to the egg tower was an option yet, so we jump, right? God damn it. I don't see how this shit's gonna continue to work. We're running out of time, things are just falling apart all around us. Jesus Christ, man. I hope Rosario is gonna be able to live here. After hearing Pollon's words and with some begging from Rosario, I'd finally decided to run away by myself. I had to convince myself that Rosario would be safe without me.
Momo, これを見ろ.
Oh, Rosario sent me a recording that showed Ronan.
君では僕に勝てない.
Though his face had remained calm and collected, Ronan's face suddenly hardened. Next, he distanced himself from Rosario and walked away as though he was afraid.
彼に何をしたんですか?
Yeah, that's slightly different.
私はただ追い詰められていただけだ。奴に指一本触れることすらできなかった。何もできなかった。にもかかわらず、奴は動揺してどこかへ行ってしまった。
And he's probably still chasing Momo. Somehow, right after her. I couldn't do anything. Those words stood out to me. After all...
行動を変えました。
何？
ロードしたポロンさんの指示に従って、私たちは行動を変えました。それが浪人に影響を与えたとしたら。
Yeah, because it's messing with their minds.
まさか。
Thinking a little bit more outside of the box. Unless it's going a little further than that, maybe? I don't know. We don't fully understand his powers quite yet. We are really running out of fucking time here. I had come to the underground part of Shinjuku Station to get away from the police. I couldn't see them, but I could hear their footsteps everywhere.
ポロンさん、浪人のサクラメントが分かりました。
Yeah, let's hear it.
モモは逃げたはずじゃ。
逃げたからこそ、ロードしたポロンさんに従ったからこそ、彼のサクラメントの正体が分かったんです。正確にはサクラメントじゃないかもしれませんが。
It's got something to do with the simulator.
どういう意味だ？
おそらく彼は地球シミュレータによる未来予測をもとに行動しています。
There it is.
連中の未来予測って前にロザリオが話してたやつか。
And that path that we were going down with no changes, that led to Rosario's death and Momo still hanging around. But now that Pollon has interfered with what he gained from the future, he was able to change things around and influence both Momo and Rosario, which means all of Ronan's plans there completely fucked.
あいつ一人じゃなかったのかよ。
Nope, not this time. I'd never heard of Cicada working with an accomplice. Unless he was just using someone again, like he used Lime Nikui for the high hack, or like how he used that homeless guy for setting up that shit with the, what was it? It was in that one area that we went to initially. In the second quest. God damn it.
ロードするさ。まだだ。
Oh, not yet, I guess.
そう言うと思った。あまり闇雲に使ってもらいたくないんだから。
大勢の命を見捨てる気か。 いいから作戦を聞かせてくれ。
I heard him let out a sigh.
Wi-Fi に参加する。
Oh.
あえてプールハックにかかるんだ。
本気か？
No, no, no. We don't want to do that. We accidentally got ourselves wrapped up into that in the last episode, and that shit was basically instantaneous.
Wi-Fi に
There was no fighting it.
アルゴスというアプリで被害者と実行犯のつながりを可視化できる。アプリの手配もそこまで難しくはない。
Somebody's gonna have to be the guinea pig.
ライブをたついた隙に実行犯は自殺コマンドを実行するだろう。そうなれば被害者全員が死ぬかもしれない。
Yeah, it won't matter. That countdown is really just a for the game being played here. It's not like they have to wait. If there is a risk, yeah, they'll just fucking pull the trigger.
なるほど。
Whoever was on the helipad would be waiting with their BMI off. That meant they wouldn't know when the perp was found or when to act. I know everyone was going to be tense, and they'd still be real vigilant. But there was no guarantee we'd all stay in sync. The footsteps were getting closer. Time to jump?
いや、
I hung up and ran as fast as I could. Can we jump?
まだだ。
The stars over Shinjuku shone through the gaps in the ceiling above. They reminded me of the scenery around the egg tower. Next, I thought of the roads I had driven on as I looked for somewhere to fight David. Then the crater's surroundings. And finally, Shinjuku's night skyline.
そういえばあの時。
I remembered the road I had taken to the construction site.
この時計を見たけど。
I felt like I could use it as a signal. If we put the plan into action when the hour hand was over the minute hand, we could sync up even without our BMI. That would save some time. But the MTT building was sealed off and had been at risk of collapse since the sad morning. One of us would have to go there and move the clock.
やっと見えてきたな。
Alright, time to jump?
いや、
Juno, the agents, the second pool hack. I thought they were all massive problems we'd struggle to sort out, but the situation had changed. My friends had turned it all around, so time to jump?
いや、
We had about 10 minutes left until the countdown ended, and here's our news bit here. Multiple incidents reported in Shinjuku. TMPD considers a blockade. Well, of course they're going to consider that. You read my mind. Things went pretty well this time around, but a lot of lives are on the line here. I need to bet it all on acing the next load. This time, I'm going to do everything perfectly. Alright, here we go. Back to the beginning on this quest, basically. Momo and Rosario will still go off on their own, which I don't think is the best thing for them to do, but whatever. I came back to right after we got the egg hint.
聞いてくれ。今回のクエストは2度目のプールハックだ。
That was the first thing I said to Cross and Win.
え、プールハックって去年のクエストの？そういえばあれも大晦日だったっけ？
シナリーインターセプトのやつか。
っていうか、なんで高岡くん分かったの？
Oh, cause we loaded, you know.
ちょっとしたチートさ。
何人かで役割を分担するのか。
Oh, most definitely. And this is all Cross's idea, so he should definitely be on board with it.
ああ、実行犯を確保するやつを加えて4人は必要だ。
妥当な作戦だな。ただ、問題は。
BMI をオフにしてるとタイムロスが発生する。だろ？
Everything I had said so far was something we had talked about last time, but now I was going to add something new to the mix.
MTT ビルを使おう。
何？
時計の長針と短針が重なった時に作戦を始めれば、全員の意識がある程度シンクロする。タイムロスが減るはずだ。
Honestly, it's really smart when you think about it.
確かに。アナログ時計なら実行犯に気づかれない合図になるが、肝心の時計が動いてない。それに文字盤には瓦礫が刺さってる。
ウィンドウ、時計を動かして瓦礫を取り除いてくれ。
え？僕がやるの？
Yeah, bro, you gotta be a team player
ク
here.
ロスはアルゴスの手配があ
Everybody's
る
gotta
し、
put in their part on this
俺
one.
もいろいろと解決しなきゃいけないことがある。
Like Juno and the agents.
頼む、お前しかいないんだ。
分かった。
Come on, bro. Yeah, you can do it, and you will do it.
まさかアナログ時計を使うことになるとはな。アナログ
It's all about using your surroundings, you
悪
know?
くない響きだ。
Now we just had to decide who was gonna go to the helipad. Maybe her? Not a bad idea. It would actually save her. Oh yeah, the CCO.
おっさん手を貸してくれ
I told him about the... let me start over. I told him about the TMPD cooperating with the Holy Office 513. Sorry, I almost probably chewed my tongue off trying to say that.
警視総監とか偉い人を説得して
Just
協
me
力関
stumbling
係
over
を
my
解消してほしいん
words.
だ
いくらなんでも俺一人の手には負えねえな。
難しいのは分かってるけど大勢の命がかかってるなんとかやってみてくれ
Oh yeah, more than 50 people, that's for sure. I hung up on Oz and then got in touch with Momo and Rosario.
ジュノの暗号解読は中止してエッグタワーへ来てくれ
Wait, if we wanted them to forget about it, why didn't we jump to the save we had beforehand?
何かあったんですか？
そっちにローニンって名前のエージェントが現れる
奴が来るのか。
ああでも対処できるだから合流して手を貸してほしいんだ
わかりました。すぐに向かいます。
I didn't mention that Kent Korihisha might be dead. That was important, but lives were at stake right now. We had to complete the quest first. And plus, we don't want them to be distracted by that fact. I mean, it is a serious, plot detail, but we gotta focus on this here. Alright, this is the second go-around, and this is gonna be a big one here. Or maybe we can call it the third go-around. Well, either way, this is the one that has got to stick. We have a really good plan in action here. I feel really good about it. We've learned a lot of details, and there's a whole lot going on in this one. Definitely a whole lot. It's mostly just obstacles, too. That's really all this is. But I'm sure we can figure it out in this go-around. We might not necessarily be done jumping, but we've got a plan going here. Operation Analog, if you will. But yep, we'll wrap it up here, save it up. Thank you all for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz. And I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy.